Welcome to the Lessons from the Leap podcast, where we showcase visionary entrepreneurs and leaders, sharing their incredible journeys and inspiring stories. Let's dive into the show.
Hello and welcome to Lessons from the Leap. I'm your host, Gazanfer Mansoor. On this show, I get to sit down with entrepreneurs, founders, and business leaders who talk about bold decisions, pivotal moments, and innovative ideas that shape their journey. This episode is brought to you by Technology Rivers. At Technology Rivers, we bring innovation through AI and technology to solve real-world industry problems. If you'd like to learn more about us, head over to technologyrivers.com and tell us more about your project. Today on Lessons from the Leap, we are joined by Linh Podetti, founder of Outsourcing Angel and a mentor helping entrepreneurs build successful businesses without sacrificing their life. Linh, welcome to the Lessons from the Leap. And for those meeting you for the first time, how do you describe what do you do today and how your journey into entrepreneurship really began? Take your time to share whatever you can with our audience.
Yeah, sounds good. I think whenever someone says, who are you? I would say I'm a mumpreneur first. So being a mummy is very important to me, and being an entrepreneur is very important to me. But I guess I've evolved from, being a founder and CEO of an outsourcing company to now being very passionate about my new venture or new mission, which is to help entrepreneurs to create a great life, not just a great business. So I'm the creator of a 360-degree success framework and also the Lin's life system that really helps you to achieve success in all areas of life. And the reason why I got into that is because I was a single mum at the age of 20 and I was seeking out freedom, and I thought business was going to give me freedom, and definitely outsourcing was part of that. When you outsource, you delegate, you create some sort of freedom for yourself. But then as entrepreneurs, we end up filling that time with more work, more to-dos. And then I quickly realized that, oh my God, I'm in another rat race. And then it kind of got me into a journey of self-discovery, discovering what is the meaning of life and what is happiness and fulfillment. And I'm so grateful because then it led me into the current path that I am in, which is I do live a very happy and fulfilled life. I don't need to have the biggest business to be happy. And I realized that a lot of entrepreneurs feel that way. And so I think this is why I'm on a mission now. I feel like it's like I was born again, but born again entrepreneur who's so excited about writing my book and getting my message out there.
Oh, thank you. And we'll dig deeper into many of those. You touched many different areas. So being a single mom, setting up the outsourcing business. So yeah, let's start with the Outsourcing Angel. When did you started that? Talk more about that business first.
Yeah, sounds good. So I didn't grow up in an entrepreneur family, so I had no idea what business to start. I actually didn't mind working in a company up until my really good manager left. So I had a graduate job and my manager left. At the time, I was also already a single mum. But when you don't have a really good manager and you realize that your life is up to someone's hands, and your promotion that they promised doesn't always come to fruition, and you have nothing, you can't do anything about it. And so I think that was when I was like, I really need to start a business. And also because I was a single mum, I felt like it was so restrictive to be able to take your kids, to school or when they're sick. And so I really felt I needed to control my time really early on. So I think it was around the age of 25 was when I was like, okay, I'm done. I really need to start something. And the first business I started was actually a nail polish business. It was an e-commerce business, because I think when you don't know much about business, you think the only thing you can make money is selling products, right? And at the time, I had a friend that gave away some nail polish, and I was very naive. I said, oh, every woman wears nail polish. And if I could just sell to 1 million people, a woman, and there's billions around the world. And if I just make $1, I will be a millionaire, right? I was very gullible. And I also think like that when I had a child. When I remember my parents were like, you're having a kid, you're too young, you're 20 years old, you're with a bad guy, don't have a kid. I'm like, that's fine, I know I can handle it. And when I had a kid, I was like, oh, okay, I get it. It's one of those decisions that you have to live with for the rest of your life. So I think that, it just gives you an insight into the way my brain works. I was not very, I wasn't very strategic. I don't think far. I just go with the flow and think everything is rosy. So anyway, nail polish business didn't go anywhere because I never even liked nail polish. I never liked to wear it. But one thing it did teach me starting that business was like marketing, getting your website out. And then, well, if you don't know how to do it, you got to outsource. So that was the beginning of learning about marketing and outsourcing, which then combined together into a skill set or experience that later on, when I was trying to figure out what business to do, other entrepreneurs came to me and said, I'm trying to start a business and I need help. And I started going, you can find people on Odes at the time, which is Upwork now. This is how long ago I've been in the outsourcing industry. And, you can just get it done and it's cheap. And they're like, oh, can you do it for me? And I'm like, oh, okay. So I charged them, more than what I can get it done by. And then that's how I started my first original business, which is more like a marketing agency, still using offshore staff, but I was overseeing it. But then a few years in, you pivot again. You're like, why am I being in the middle? Why don't I just go and hire the people for the clients? So the clients can just ask me, I want these skill set, I want these experiences. Can you just find those people? And that way I take myself the equation. And I think that's how Outsourcing Angel was born in around 2015. And it's more scalable because I can just continue to hire people and help facilitate the relationship between the client and the offshore staff member. And so that's what Outsourcing Angel now is. We specialize a lot more on marketing and I guess office support as the niches within the outsourcing space.
And where are your people? Are they mostly in Philippines or in different countries?
Yeah, so currently when we provide offshore staff to the client, they're from the Philippines, just so it's easy to, it's the infrastructure's easy, we know the culture and we can kind of systemize it. But my original team who came from my marketing agency era is still with me today. I have ones from Indonesia, I have people from Singapore, people from, different parts of the world, because that's how I operated my own business at the time. But, just for the easiness of scaling the business at Outsourcing Angel, we've been keeping it in the Philippines because great English, great culture, great skill set, experience in the BPO industry for a long, long, long time.
Okay, cool. No, that's a good story. So what's the number one mistake founders make when hiring VAs that actually increases their workload?
Look, I think when people hire, their goal is to create freedom. But the thing is, they think that they can just, their expectation is, I'm just going to hire you and then somehow you just miraculously take all my work away. They don't realize that it's like hiring a local staff member. You want to take care of the process, meaning you train, you onboard, you look long term, you really take them on a journey and explain where you're going, why you're doing what you're doing, and how their job is, fits in with your organization. And you take time out to actually train, to actually invest in that, learning period. And when they don't do that, they end up, it's going to take a lot longer to achieve that freedom. So, when people come and they expect short-term benefit immediately, that is when they set themselves up for failure. But then again, that is why Outsourcing Angel, we exist, because we know what it's like when founders maybe have different expectation. Founders maybe not experienced with working with offshore staff. So we felt the need to be part of that journey along the way. And, we're always on the front end of going, I know what you're after. You're after scaling your business. You're not just after a VA. You're after an outsourced person. Well, how are you scaling it? Like, what's your goal? Have you set rock settings for, to work with your team? Do you have the project management tool? Do you know much about AI marketing? You know that you can do it this way or that way. And they're like, oh, wow. And so then we try to help them a lot more than just going, here's the person for you, because it takes a lot more as a leader to grow a business. It's the leadership skills. It's the strategy in business. It's a lot more, even communication skills, communication. And I'm not talking about even because you're talking to offshore that it's different. I'm talking about, I found, because I interview a lot of entrepreneurs and I'm amongst a lot of them. And I find that, often we're not taught how to communicate well. And so we try to shortcut and assume someone understands us, and then we get frustrated when they don't. And so those are the things that we continue to need to develop as a leader.
Yeah. And I think on a similar note, one of the challenges that I also notice in many businesses, including ours, like many times people understand delegation in theory, but in practice, they struggle to let go. So, what
Yes.
is the mindset shift someone needs to make before outsourcing actually work? Because in
Yeah.
our business, we're also in an outsourcing business. Obviously, we do the software development, totally different.
Mm.
But that
Yeah.
mindset is definitely
Yeah.
the key hurdle we have seen.
Definitely. And I think, just because you have staff doesn't mean you're delegating well, because you're still holding on to things that because you believe that you do it best or it's faster if you do it. And, for me, I'm always thinking, well, if I keep doing that, then I will always keep doing that versus just investing a bit of time and giving it away to someone else, even if it means it takes 5 minutes. Because 5 minutes, if you add up every single day times 365 days for the rest of your life, that adds up to a lot of hours. Versus, Rory Vaden on the book of Procrastinate on Purpose, he talks about, times it by 30. So let's just say it might take you 5 minutes to do, but it only might times 30 might take you 2 hours to train someone. But that 2 hours is a lot less than the lifetime that you're going to be doing a task. So knowing that this is a short-term pain or short-term investment that you're going to have to give for the long-term benefit, you kind of push through. And yes, it does require you to be patient, to give feedback, to then patiently wait for them to do the task, and maybe not even as well as you at the beginning, but then eventually they will. And I constantly audit myself because I found that also because I'm always pushing myself to go, what else should I be doing? What else should I be doing to grow my business? And because I need to do something else, I'm forced to have to let go of some other older tasks to someone else. And I usually then pass it to the next in line who's very good at it, because then they will need to learn to delegate and pass their old work to someone else that is more junior to them. So we're constantly auditing ourselves. I always challenge my team. It's like, if you're already this smart, I want you to keep doing things that are that smart or more. And if you keep doing this thing for a long time, I think you're ready for the next thing. And if you're ready for the next thing, who is your backup line, right? And so for me, I constantly pass it over to my staff. They do a lot of things, from posting on my Instagram story through to booking life things for me, like restaurant booking, through to holiday planning. Anything that I think is just not a good use of my time, I delegate.
Are there any tasks that founders should never outsource, or should, and obviously an opposite as well, those should be outsourced immediately?
I think anything that only you can do. So I'm talking about, like, you continue to keep auditing yourself until you get to the point where the only thing, you can't outsource spending time with your family, right? But everything else you can outsource. You cannot outsource you working out the gym, you spending, quality time with your team, you coaching them. Those are the things that, only you can do. But everything else, I think you just have to keep practicing to get used to it. Like, at the beginning, I thought I was the best recruiter. Obviously, I started Outsourcing Angel. I'm very charismatic, and that's what I thought. And I thought I just have a sixth sense with people. When I talk, I'm like, I know that they're a good person or not. So then I also go, oh my God, how am I going to delegate this? But when you're forced with limited time, you can't help but to go, okay, who's next in line? And I had a staff member who actually originally was a copywriter. She then became like a copywriter manager, like managing the whole bunch of copywriters. But then I go, hang on, can you help me recruit? And then you realize that it's just in their soft skill, their ability to like try new things, their dedication, all that soft skills allows them to really adapt to any skill set anyway. So then everything is systemized. You just go sit with me on a interview call, watch how I do it, write down what you think you learn, then I watch you, and then eventually you delegate it to them. And then you'll see how she ends up doing a better job than you. And you're like, okay, I'm actually not that amazing as what I thought I am. But otherwise, I think everything is outsourceable. One thing that I would say is, don't immediately outsource financial things. Like, when people are very new to outsourcing and offshoring, they're like, okay, I just hired my VA and I've given them my credit card to book my appointment. And I'm like, would you do that to even just anyone you met locally? I don't think so. It's something that you build trust over. So there's just some things that need a little bit of common sense. Or, for example, they're new working with you, whether local or offshore. Would you trust them to immediately talk to your clients or your lead or emailing someone important? No. You practice slowly by getting them to draft the email. You check it before you send it, and maybe they send it on behalf of you, whatever it is, but you do it slowly. You just don't risk it by going all in like that. That's just being silly.
No, very good point. Yeah, we have seen the same challenges. Yes. So I think, yeah, in our business, as we hire new people, do I put directly on the client project, or do we try them internally? Or maybe they're
Mm,
working with somebody, no matter how good they are, you just don't know their working style. So it's about the culture
mhm.
fit as well. It's about how you communicate, because you can't
Yeah,
have everybody just running the business their way. So
yeah,
all these
that's right.
things are important, even though there's a hurdles as well. So
Mm.
those are the
And
problems we
you
have to solve.
and look, you can even get it wrong when you hire people on $200,000, $400,000. You know, just because they're senior and they've got a great resume and they work for great companies doesn't mean they're the right fit for you, or even, you know, because I've had cases where they've been defrauded, and you know, some big white collar frauds, and it all came from very expensive, high caliber people too. So in short, you just have to learn to trust people slowly.
Yeah, we have been lucky on the fraud side, but I've seen those other cases burn a lot of money in the U.S. as well. So
Mm,
I'm a big believer in right people, right seat. So
mm,
the people are good. How do you find them the right seat? If they are doing the right thing, then they are really productive.
yeah.
Otherwise, even a 200K person would not be probably doing. And we learned
Mm,
those the hard way.
that's right.
Because sometimes, yes, you don't need them a gun or hammer to kill something small.
Mm.
Okay, so while we're talking on this one, I think part of that is, as you are outsourcing, the systems do make a difference in terms of what type of systems or the processes. So this is where I noticed, like, a lot of those outsourcing attempts fail if you don't have the right systems in place. Can you give our audience some ideas on, like, what systems are essential for the remote teams to succeed?
Yes. So some essential things that you'll need is a project management tool. Surprisingly, not every business that I know who's been established and long time operating actually even have a project management tool. So then tasks are all over the place, and you told someone to do something and you know don't know where it's at. And so as simple as having a tool like Notion, Asana, some sort of project management tool, so that you know exactly what task it is, who's doing it, and what are the due dates as well. And then even a central place to chat, whether it's Google Chat, Slack, some sort of place. It's like an online office. I always look at it. I said, treat it like as if it's your office. You know, you enter this chat group, and then there's all these departments that you would have, whether it's marketing, sales, and then you have group chats in there. But other than those two, I would say another key thing around process and systems is using tools like Loom and recording how you do something and saving it. And often people think, oh, I need to have everything systemized and every dots and T's, you know, set up before I get things done. I go, no, you just have to be one step ahead of that person. So if, you know, you're getting into doing some personal branding and you're getting into LinkedIn, well, just start mapping out what you're currently doing on the outreach process and just record how you're doing it. But, you know, and I think the key thing is you should kind of know what you're doing. And if you don't know what you're doing, maybe hire an expert and get it done right first. Because if you don't even know what you're doing, then it's hard to go and teach someone else to do it. But in short, shoot a Loom video, explain how you do it, put it in a project manager tool, get them to do it, and give feedback. And then this is why I love waking up really early in the morning, because I have time to really think through what do I really need done, what do I need to delegate. And so then as long as you're one step ahead, give them extra 2 or 3 tasks in advance, and then all of a sudden using Loom video, you've got these processes that not only is it for this person, it's for someone else as well. So you can use this to actually systemize and create SOPs for your business.
Oh, those are really good tips. And while you're on it, how do you have the productivity? I saw that you also wrote a book on it, 40 productivity hacks for busy
Mm,
entrepreneurs. Can
yeah.
you share the story about, I'm guessing based on your experiences as you learned, you wrote the book. And then
Yeah.
I'll also like to hear some of the tips that you can share with our audience.
Sure. So, I was a single mum at the age of 20, and I was very greedy with life. Like, I wanted to go out partying. I had to take care of my son. I had to go to uni. I had to go to the gym. There's all these things that I needed to do. And so I got trained to time manage very well, very early on, always trying to fit in everything. My mum used to think like, God, like you try to do everything, I'm like, somehow I just believed that I could. And I think I wanted to say that because it kind of stemmed from very young of just optimizing my time. But also growing up, my mum made me work at a very young age. At the age of 10, I had to go home from school and start sewing for her. And I used to just figure out ways to just hack my brain to make sure that it feels faster. So I remember every time there was a bundle of clothes that I had to sew, I would put it all onto the desk so that it feels like that is all I have to do. And I would do it so fast. But the problem is because I'm so fast, my mum keeps giving me more work. I became like a legit employee to her home business. And so anyway, we had a lot of struggles, and that's why it led me into being a single mum, like running away from home and all that stuff. So over the years, I've always loved just doing things fast and hacking things. And it wasn't until, the other year, maybe 2 years ago, my girlfriends, I started to go, I really want to mentor people, help people. Back then I thought, I don't know much yet. Imposter syndrome, you always think you're never good enough. But when I decided, I want to help some friends, and I started to help my friends. And one of the key things they always ask is, how do you manage everything? You can do everything. You're traveling, you're doing all these things. And so I put together, I guess, my productivity tips, the things that I've tried. It's not all mine. There are some things that I created. There's some things that I just learned from people, from, things such as Eat the Frog First is Brian Tracy. It's about doing the hard things first. And I have something that I do similar, which is having a must-do and a to-do list. So I have lots of things in a to-do list, but every day I only focus on 3 main must-do. And those things are very impactful. I ask myself, will this bring the best impact to the business? So when I put these productivity hacks together and to share it with my mentor group, I was like, oh, actually, this could turn into a book, because I've always wanted to write a book. But once again, I never thought I was good enough until one day I bought this quotes book that I found on Instagram. There was an Instagram page, had lots of cool quotes, and I thought, oh, I'll buy this quotes book. When I ordered it from Amazon, it literally was just a book of quotes. There was no dedication. There was no thank you pages. There was no 4 words or anything. And I'm like, oh my God, it's like you overcomplicate and think a book has to be this perfect thing and it has to be the bestseller. And I just said, I'm just going to get the book out. And I think I'm glad that I did get the 40 productivity books out, because it was fast to produce. I made it very short. If you get the order, it's actually the thinnest book that you've ever seen, because it's made for busy people, right? So I'm going to give you hacks by hacks by hacks. But if you just even try to take one hack and do it, it will change your life, because it's hard to actually implement, the hack, because the hack itself it's like a new habit. And so when I launched this 40 productivity hacks book, that was when I really fell in love with writing books. And so my upcoming book is called the 360-Degree Success Book. And it's a playbook for entrepreneurs to how to live a fulfilling life with no regrets. So this book is going to be 300 something pages, but it will shed more light into some of the hacks that I put in the 40 productivity hacks book. So one of my favorite is waking up early. You're going to laugh at me or you think I'm crazy, is I wake up at 3 a.m. So you doing this podcast with me at 6 a.m., nothing, piece of cake. I've already woken up. I've already done some impactful work. I've already exercised with my husband between 5 to 5:30. We already had a coffee together. He's gone to work and I'm doing this podcast. So my day is already winning. And then, by the time the kids wake up, whatever, it doesn't matter. I can react to life later, but I really get to own my day. So that's one of the important hacks that I put in the 40 productivity hacks.
That is so cool. Yeah, early morning is definitely, there's an early morning club as well, 5 a.m. club. So you are in a 3 a.m. club.
Yeah.
Which is very rare, but that's impressive. Are there any other quick tips that you can share on top of your head?
Yeah. So one of the key things is we always think that we need to be more productive. But when we think of productive, we always think about more productive to do more work. So in one of my hack, I talk about life audits and I guess year mapping, and it's really about assessing all your other areas of life, not just in business. So it's your health, it's your relationship with your wife, it's time with your kids, and how are you going with that, so that you can actually see the gap between where you are and what the ultimate success looks like in those areas. And when you see those gaps, you start setting goals, better goals that actually mean something. And so then you end up being productive, doing what matters. Being productive meaning making the most out of life, not just trying to make the most out of your day to do more work. So I think there is that hack in there, but I go into a lot of detail in my 360-degree success book. So that's one of them as well. And most importantly, it's just having a really set morning routine in the morning where you journal, where you spend time actually strategizing and reflecting. Otherwise, you feel like you're not progressing because you don't take time to take stock of what you actually do in life. But yeah, there's plenty. There's 40 productivity hacks in there. But like one important thing that I always do every morning when I wake up is I, like really think about what am I going to eat first? The frog, the big frog, the one that actually moves the needle. And I think a lot of times we don't spend enough time doing that. We might wake up and start checking our emails, and we get a dopamine hit of just ticking off as many to-dos as we can, but it actually doesn't change our life.
No, those are really good tips. And congratulations on the 360 success book. So
Thank
looking
you.
forward to reading that as well.
Yeah.
Okay, so AI is everywhere nowadays. AI has changed pretty much every industry. How has it changed the outsourcing industry? Did it increase demand? Did it reduce? How is it helping you in different parts of your business?
Yeah. Oh my God, I cannot live without AI. I don't know about you, but I just love it. And the more you understand how to use it or learn the prompts and learn the GPTs that someone's created for you, or the tools that are made to make your job easier, every single person in my company is so much happier in their work. Like, I mean, we were happy already just having great culture, but when you're empowered with new skill set and the tools that make your life easy, somehow you just feel a lot more invincible. Like one of my staff, I just told him about, so he's a graphic designer who learned to do website development. And then we told him about a tool called Lovable, because I met a guy named Scott Embringham from EO Orange County, and he's got a full course on AI marketing. And, one of the tool that he taught was Lovable. And I remember telling my staff, hey, I need a quick landing page to say, website coming soon. But using Lovable, he was able to create it like a full website with all the menus and everything. And I'm like, oh, how quickly did you do that? And it was like a few hours, right? And so his job is faster. And then, one of my EA, who's also my social media marketer, she's always struggled with copywriting. She's Indonesian. Yes, she can communicate, but when it comes to copywriting, she's just not as good. But of course, now she's amazing. She can write in my tone, and she just helps me out a lot more. And look, we will always find more work to do, right? People think, okay, AI is going to take your job. But hey, we're entrepreneurs. We know how to create more work for ourselves. We know how to create more services. We know how to create more ideas. And so there's always going to be more work. And when I did the AI marketing course from Scott, I quickly realized, even as entrepreneurs, we are so time poor. We don't want to spend time learning how to use the tools either. We need the people to actually do it. So this is where, your outsourcing company, my outsourcing company, we still have the people to do the work for you, because we all are not made to learn how to use tools. I know that it works, but I can't be bothered spending time doing it. I love having a conversation like this. I love mentoring. I love speaking. I love doing the things that only I can do, not doing that, learning how to use AI tools that my staff can do. So I think it's the power of the people and the tool that we're going to come together, and we're going to do even more amazing work.
And as you're doing this work, have you noticed any change in the type of people do you need to work? Because people have a different way of working, and now AI requires a little bit of a different way. Like, you need to be articulate things, versus somebody just instruction followers. How has that impacted your hiring?
Yeah, I think ultimately what we want is people who love learning, people who are easy to adapt and quick, they love to learn, they're quick learning, and they also curious about innovation and doing new things. I think once you do that, you're always looking for new ways of doing things. And so, at the moment, I can see the transformation within my own company. The reason why we were able to pivot quick and adopt is because we have that mindset. And no matter what era we're in, we always have certain group of people that are so traditional and so stubborn and don't want to try new things. There are still people, even though we're in the AI space, there are still business owners or traditional businesses that still use Excel, that are still barely just using some project management tools. And so, when people will say AI is going to take over the world, but unfortunately, there's still people that cannot press the keywords, properly, and then still finger pointing at the keywords. And then there's obviously people that are very advanced and can prompt and can do all these crazy things. And, when I started talking to people like Scott or other AI experts, I realized that I'm just a beginner in AI. There's still a lot for me to learn. And so, yeah, in short, I think as long as you are always open-minded to learning, you'll never go, your job will never be a threat. And you're always able to figure out new things that you can provide to your clients, better ways to work with your, your audience. So, when people come to hire a virtual assistant from me, if I learned a new AI tool, like for example, I learned Whisper Flow recently. It's a voice to text, and it's so fast at typing and accurate compared to the little the little voice thing that is embedded in the phone. When I found it, it was so amazing. It was made me more productive. I just started sharing with my clients or friends that I know, and you add value to them, even though it's not what you normally do. But that's how you gain trust, and that's how you add value, and then that's how they become, I want to work with you because you give me more value than just what I came for.
Cool, cool. No, you're right. We always have more work that we can do. Now with AI, you can achieve more of that. I'm with you that AI is not replacing, but it's making you way more productive. So you can achieve 10 times more, you're more productive, you're more happy because now you're excited that, oh, I'm able to do those 10 things, which previously I was only able to do 2 things in a week.
Yeah. And this is where the danger is, or the warning I have for entrepreneurs is that, when we first discovered emails, we're like, great, we can email faster. But guess what? Now expectations higher. Your response rates needs to be faster, and you just email thousands of emails to the point that you just have no time, and people are stressed, people have mental health, people get burnt out, right? And so once again, AI is another tool, another capability that allows us to do things even faster. So instead of having one business, we might have 10 business. But this is where we need to really think about our life. Where will we start to prioritize our life? Otherwise, work will always overtake us. And imagine we're now empowered. It's like we all of a sudden become Superman in work. We're going to be able to produce so much more that we're going to get even more addicted to work. We're going to, together with the AI tool, we're like, oh my God, I can't believe we created this cool thing. But that is so addictive, right? And so be careful and start to go, okay, where's my boundary? How much work should I actually be doing? What is important in my other areas of life? And start prioritizing it. Otherwise, there is never that day where I will have time for my family and health.
Yeah, cool. Good point. Good point. So are you more of a person who think that AI should automate everything, more agentic way, taking actions, or versus do you like to have more human in the loop as well? Where do you see AI is today?
I think it's a combination. I think we need to be intentional. So it's not about always doing everything faster and automating everything and treating everyone like a number. I think it's about where in the process do you feel like you want to add value. So for example, like I still try to do a lot more in-person coffees and meetings, and because I genuinely want to know people and meet people. And, when we are emailing the clients or whatever, we can kind of automate everything, but there is still some manual things that my team likes to do as part of the client experience, where it's a Loom video saying hello and explaining something. And then I guess it will slow me down in terms of my scalability, but it comes down to your values. I think my value is human first, put people over profit. So I'm always going to live with that principle of really caring about the process. I know that there's other really scaled up companies in the BPO or in the outsourcing industry that is super automated. Everything is they scale very fast, but their churn is very high. But hey, they can afford it, and that's just the way they like to operate. But I think it just comes down to what resonates with you, what sits well with your values, and then ultimately understand that eventually when everyone is automating, everyone is systemizing, how can you differentiate by being more human? And I think that's the thing that you need to discover for yourself.
Yeah, cool, cool. I was reading somewhere that you donate 10% of your profit to certain nonprofit. Can you talk about it? This is a huge, I call it like it's a double bottom line impact, because on one side you're creating opportunities for the growing world, the third world, and then at the same time you're donating the profit out
Yes.
of that as well. So it's a
Yes.
dual impact. That's so amazing.
Yes. So I always knew deep down that I wanted to give back. I remember when I first started my business, after a few years in the marketing agency, it was like I felt like some sense of unfulfillment. And I remember thinking maybe one day I should work for the UN or some sort of World Vision or charity work, because I felt in my heart I needed to do something good. But then along the line, I discovered that, okay, my line of work, I actually create jobs for people who can't travel to work. It takes hours to go to work. When I went to the Philippines, I was like, oh my God, I'm actually making a difference. So I started to feel a lot more connected to my business, because originally I thought my business just helps me to create freedom for myself and, okay, for some staff that works with me. But I really did feel like there was an impact. But then later on, one of my staff member had a cousin who used to be rebellious and criminal, and he kind of also discovered faith and discovered Christianity, and he just changed his life. He started to volunteer his time, trek up the mountains, and started to help the people that don't even get help from the government because they live really remote places in the Philippines. So we thought, okay, we'll start giving to them and give a few $100s. But a few $100s goes a long way to people living in extreme poverty. So we started to feed them. We started doing solar panel installation, water wells. But because these volunteers are not an organization, they don't take any money for administration or salary. Every dollar you give, you can see an impact immediately. And so it just became part of our DNA to just give back something. And then, even when we're early on in the business, as you know, profit is hard to make, sales is hard, but it was just part of us. And I remember one time when I had like a business partner at the time, and he said, we need to watch our spending, we need to watch our profit. Let's cut out the charity because we can't afford it, right? And I said, no, like that is almost, it's kind of like people like charity first. It almost just became part of my principle. It was like charity first. So then over the years, even when we weren't making profit, we were always giving money away. And yes, it is like 10% of the profit, but even when the months that we don't make a profit, there is still money going out to it. And when I hired a business coach a couple of years ago, he did go to me, Lynn, you run your business like a nonprofit. And I kind of go, you know what? I really feel grateful that I have a business that I don't owe any money. Like I don't have any debt. I don't have any business loans. I can pay myself a decent wage and my staff is fairly paid. And even if we're break even or make a little bit less profit today, but more profit later, but at the same time, we're still giving away charity, I feel like I'm on the right path. I feel like I'm winning. And I think that's a reminder for all of us to enjoy the journey along the way, because we often say, wait until I make this much money, then I can help, or wait until this happened and then I can do this and that. But I think for me, I'm just prioritizing at the same time. Sure, now that I know more financials and I have a business coach, my goal is to make the business more profitable, more sellable, whatever it is, because it's still a game of business. But at the same time, I don't want to lose my principle. If my business coach turns around and said, okay, no charity work, you just have to focus on building a profit, I think I'll say goodbye to the business coach before I stop doing the charity work.
Well, I hope the business coach would listen to this podcast as well. Okay, so if you could go back to the version of yourself who just starting out as a struggling single mom, what is the one leap you would tell her to take sooner than later?
Well, Lynn, as a young girl, has always been a daredevil anyway. She would always go for things and not scared. Like starting a business without even making that much money yet, saying to herself, hey, if I work 40 hours at work, how am I going to make money here? Oh, let's just jump. And then I jumped and then I had to try to figure out how to do it. So I've always been that way. But one thing that I didn't do is I didn't have a mentor early. I was too tight. I was too stingy to invest in someone that has done it. And so I was figuring out a lot of things on my own for many, 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 many years. And I think I only value paying for professional help, in that last 8 years, 7 years, whatever it is. I also didn't have a routine of reading books all the time. You get so busy when you're younger and you're trying to figure things out. You're really never learning from the best, learning from someone who's done it. And so, yeah, I would tell the old Lynn to just slow down. Let's ask the right people, learn from books, have a routine of always reading, because what you don't know, and you're going to waste a lot of time just doing. Because I think the old Lynn just is too busy doing and not enough time thinking, reading, journaling, reflecting back then.
I definitely resonate with that because these are the two things that I also learned along in my journey as well. Okay. So lastly, what is the most expensive lesson you have learned that had nothing to do with the money?
Expensive lesson. I think expensive, when I think of expensive, and if it's not money, it always feels like pain. It feels hurt. And I think over the years, people can make you really happy, but people can also make you really sad. And I think I've had incidents where I had business partners who we weren't values aligned. We had to break up, and it feels a bit like a real divorce when you let go of that person. And then along the way, you might want to help. Like there was a girl that I met who I really wanted to help her, and even hire her into my business. But not only that, I see her as a friend. And when you try to help someone, bring them into your circle, help them with money, help them with work, but then you learnt that they were just using you. You were part of the stepping stone to where they want to go. It's not a genuine relationship. I think those ones always hurt a lot. You would have days where you're just having flashbacks and you start thinking about was that even a real relationship? So I think expensive lessons in business has always been painful around people for me. And even letting go of my long-term COO, last year was also oh my God, I cannot believe that happens, and you just have to walk away from all those painful relationships. So, but hey, people are people. People are complicated.
Oh, no, thanks a lot. Thanks for sharing these nuggets. So, what is next for Lynn? Any new leaps that you are taking? Anything you want to share?
Well, I used to be really shy, and I knew that I needed to learn to speak and go out and put my hands up and be a speaker. So it's been a long, like my whole life journey to be a better speaker. But even earlier on, when I was super shy, I wrote down in my dreams and vision board that I want to be an international speaker. It was kind of like God gave you this calling, but you have no idea how you're going to do it and how you're going to get there. But I finally can see it now, now that I really have a message to tell the world, and I'm writing the book and I'm speaking, I'm sharing my message. I really now can see that calling, that thing that God gave you in your heart was actually true all along the way. There was one day in the future you're going to do that. So yeah, I do see myself speaking in front of thousands of people, not just a group of 10 EO entrepreneurs, or recently I spoke in front of 30, 40 people in a group setting. I really do see myself speaking on stage in large crowds, which yes, I used to be the scariest thing I could ever imagine doing. But I'm just excited because I want to get my message out to the world. I want to wake up entrepreneurs before it's too late.
That's a great way to share your experience and all the things that you learned. Thanks a lot, Lynn, for sharing all these nuggets. This is so much value for our audience. How can people connect with you if they're interested in learning more about you, about the Outsourcing Angels, as well as any other initiative that you're taking?
Yeah, well, thank you so much for the opportunity to be with you this morning. But yeah, I am all over the internet. Outsourcingangel.com is the outsourcing business, and linpodetti.com is my personal website. So if you're interested in living a better life, that's where Linh Podetti has all that information, even quizzes and the books that you've mentioned there. And then for Outsourcing Angel, we can help you to free up time by hiring people. But otherwise, I'm on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook. I'm everywhere.
Cool. Thanks, Lynn. It was great to have you on the show. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for tuning in to the Lessons from the Leap podcast. Don't forget to hit subscribe so you never miss an episode. We'll catch you next time.